Have you ever felt like you're having a quiet conversation with the world around you? A conversation where everyday objects seem to whisper something you'd rather not hear. Maybe it's that stubborn jar lid that used to pop open with a simple twist. Now it sits there, defiant, as if it's testing you. Or perhaps it's the grocery bags that feel heavier each week, even though you're buying the same things. These aren't big, dramatic moments. They're whispered reminders, gentle nudges that something has shifted. And if you're like most people over 60, you've probably been told this is just how it goes, that this is simply aging. But what if I told you that some of the most trusted voices in medicine have been missing something important? What if the conversation between you and your body doesn't have to be about surrender? What if, instead, it could be about renewal? I'm Dr. Evelyn Reed, and I've spent the last 2 decades studying something most people call aging gracefully. But I don't like that phrase much. It sounds like we're supposed to smile politely while our bodies quietly give up on us. I prefer a different approach. I think of the human body as a garden, not a machine. When most people talk about aging, they describe our bodies like old cars breaking down, parts wearing out, systems failing. Time for the junkyard. Right, but that's not how I see it. And it's certainly not how your body sees it. A garden doesn't die in winter. It rests. It waits. And when spring comes, with the right care and the right nutrients, it can bloom more beautifully than ever before. Your body is the same way. It's not broken. It's not giving up. It's just been waiting for someone to speak its language. Let me tell you why I know this is true. My father was a carpenter. Strong hands, steady grip. Could build anything. At 65, those same hands started shaking when he tried to hold his tools. The doctors shrugged and said, "That's just age." But I refused to accept that. Dad wasn't just losing his grip on a hammer. He was losing his grip on who he was. The man who taught me that every piece of wood has a story. Who showed me that creating something beautiful takes both strength and patience. I watched him struggle to lift his granddaughter, my niece, for what he thought might be the last time. That's when I knew I had to find a better answer. Your body isn't betraying you. It's speaking to you in a language we've forgotten how to understand. The question isn't whether you can feel strong and capable again. The question is, are you ready to listen? Here's something that might surprise you. Most people over 60 are doing a lot of things right. They're eating their vegetables. Many are taking vitamins. Some are even adding protein to their diets, just like their doctors recommended. And yet, they still feel that gradual slide, that quiet weakening. Why? Because there's a hidden culprit that almost no one talks about. It has a scientific name, anabolic resistance. But don't let the fancy term scare you. Let me explain it in a way that makes perfect sense. Think of your muscles as a house. Protein is like a delivery person bringing supplies to repair and strengthen that house. When you're young, the front door's wide open. Every delivery gets through easily. But as we get older, that door becomes, let's call it stubborn. It's not locked. It's not broken. It just needs a stronger knock to open up. Most proteins knock softly. They deliver their message, but the door barely budges. Meanwhile, your muscles are waiting inside, ready to get stronger, ready to rebuild. They just never get the supplies they need. This isn't your fault. You haven't done anything wrong. Your body is simply following a biological pattern that affects almost everyone after 60. The good news: once you understand the pattern, you can work with it instead of against it. The key is knowing how to knock on that door properly. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you. I want you to meet Arthur. He's 68, a retired history teacher, and one of the kindest people you'll ever encounter. Arthur loves 2 things above everything else: his family and his garden. Every spring, Arthur plants heirloom tomatoes, the same varieties his grandfather grew. There's something about the continuity that speaks to him. The idea that he's carrying forward a tradition, nurturing something beautiful, But lately, Arthur has been struggling with something that's hard to put into words. He's not sick. He's not in pain. But the 20-pound bags of soil that he used to carry easily now feel like they weigh twice as much. Last month, his daughter asked him to open a new jar of pickles for the family barbecue. Arthur gripped that jar with both hands, twisted with all his might, and nothing. His granddaughter, barely 10 years old, watched him struggle and quietly asked her mom to help instead. It wasn't the jar that bothered Arthur. It was the look in his granddaughter's eyes. That moment when she realized her strong, capable grandfather might not be so strong anymore. When Arthur called me, his voice was quiet. "Dr. Reed," he said, "I don't want to be the grandfather who can't help. I don't want to be the man who has to ask for help with a pickle jar." I understood exactly what Arthur meant. He wasn't asking me to make him 20 again. He was asking me to help him feel like himself again. "Arthur," I told him, "I'm not going to ask you to change your entire life. I'm not going to put you on some complicated diet or exercise routine. What I want to offer you is an experiment, a simple one. For the next 3 weeks, we're going to give your garden, your body, one specific nutrient it's been missing. We're going to knock on that stubborn door properly, and then we're going to see what happens." Arthur was skeptical. As a historian, he'd seen plenty of miracle cures come and go, but something in my approach felt different to him. I wasn't promising magic. I was offering understanding. "What do I have to lose?" he asked. 3 weeks later, Arthur had his answer. So, what was this special knock? What was the key that could finally open Arthur's stubborn door? It's an amino acid called leucine. Think of leucine as the foreman at a construction site. All the other amino acids are workers, ready to build and repair your muscles. But without the foreman giving the signal, everyone just stands around, waiting. In younger people, you don't need much leucine to blow the whistle and get everyone working. But after 60, you need a much stronger signal. You need more leucine in a single meal to flip that construction switch from off to on. Here's the beautiful part. You don't need to eat enormous steaks or pounds of beans to get this leucine signal. In fact, trying to get enough leucine from regular food alone often means eating more protein than your digestive system wants to handle. The solution is much simpler and gentler than that. 1 scoop of high-quality whey protein isolate contains the exact amount of leucine needed to wake up your muscle-building machinery. Mix it into Greek yogurt, blend it into a morning smoothie, or simply stir it into a glass of milk. That's it. 1 simple addition to your morning routine. Think of it this way. Leucine is like the light switch for your muscle factory. Other amino acids are the workers standing ready. But if nobody turns on the lights, no work gets done, no matter how many workers are available. After 60, you need to hit that light switch harder. You need more leucine at once to signal your muscles that it's time to get busy rebuilding and strengthening. This isn't about taking some exotic supplement or following a complicated routine. Whey protein comes from milk. It's been nourishing humans for thousands of years. We've just learned how to concentrate the most important parts. When you give your body this concentrated leucine signal first thing in the morning, you're essentially telling every muscle in your body, "Wake up, we have work to do. Let's get stronger today." Arthur started his experiment on a Monday morning. He mixed 1 scoop of whey protein isolate into his usual Greek yogurt and added some berries. "Tastes fine," he noted in the video diary I asked him to keep. Week 1. Arthur reported sleeping a bit better. Nothing dramatic, just sounder. On day 5, he mentioned that his usual walk around the neighborhood felt easier. "Didn't get winded at that last hill," he said, almost surprised. Week 2 brought more noticeable changes. Arthur carried 2 grocery bags from the car in one trip instead of his usual 1 bag at a time approach. He stood up from his favorite reading chair without using the armrests for leverage. Small things, everyday things. But to Arthur, these weren't small at all. Then came week 3 and the moment that changed everything. Arthur was preparing for another family barbecue. His daughter was bustling around the kitchen, getting everything ready. When she called out, "Dad, could you open this pickle jar for me? I can't get it." Arthur walked over and took the jar without thinking, his hands wrapped around the lid. He twisted, expecting resistance, expecting struggle. Pop. The lid came off with such ease that Arthur actually looked at the jar in surprise. Then he looked at his hands. Then he looked out the window at his tomato garden, where strong plants were growing in the soil he'd been able to carry and spread just that morning. "I got my hands back," he whispered to himself. But it wasn't really about the hands. It was about something deeper. Arthur had gotten back a piece of his identity, the part of him that could help, that could be relied upon, that could be the strong grandfather his family remembered. The pickle jar wasn't just a container. It was a symbol of capability, of independence, of still being the man he'd always been. In that moment, Arthur understood what I meant about the body being a garden. With the right nutrients, the right care, the right attention, it had quietly begun to bloom again. What Arthur experienced wasn't magic. It was biology working exactly as it should. By providing his muscles with that concentrated leucine signal every morning, Arthur had essentially turned on the construction lights in his muscle factory. For the first time in years, his body was getting the clear message. It's time to build. It's time to get stronger. The whey protein isolate did exactly what it was supposed to do. It delivered enough leucine at once to overcome that age-related resistance. It knocked on the door loudly enough to get an answer. Think about what Arthur accomplished in just 3 weeks. He didn't transform into a bodybuilder. He didn't suddenly become superhuman. He simply remembered what it felt like to feel like himself. That's the power of working with your body instead of against it. That's what happens when you give your garden the specific nutrients it's been asking for. Arthur's story reminds me of my father. Dad never did get to try this approach. We didn't understand it yet. But I think about him every time I see someone like Arthur reclaim a piece of their strength. It's not really about opening jars or carrying groceries. It's about the confidence that comes from knowing your body is still on your team. It's about the quiet pride of being able to help instead of needing help. When Arthur lifted his granddaughter the following weekend, his hands steady and strong, he wasn't just lifting a child. He was lifting years of worry off his shoulders, years of wondering if his best days were behind him. Your body is having a conversation with you every single day. It's telling you what it needs, what it's missing, what it's ready to do if you just give it the right tools. Arthur learned how to listen to that conversation. And in listening, he found his way back to feeling like himself again. Arthur's morning protein routine wasn't the end of his story. It was the beginning. See, when you give your body exactly what it needs and it responds by getting stronger, something shifts in your thinking. You start to realize that your body has been trying to help you all along. It just needed you to speak its language. Today, it might be leucine for muscle strength. Tomorrow, it might be magnesium for better sleep. Next week, it could be a walk in the woods for mental clarity. The point isn't to chase every supplement or follow every trend. The point is to start listening. Your body is incredibly smart. It knows how to heal, how to strengthen, how to adapt. It's been doing this for decades. The only thing that changes as we age is that it needs us to be a little more intentional about giving it what it needs. Think of it like tending a garden. You don't just throw seeds in the ground and hope for the best. You pay attention to the soil, the sunlight, the water. You notice what's thriving and what needs help. Your body deserves the same kind of thoughtful attention. When Arthur realized that one simple change could make such a difference, it opened his mind to other possibilities. He started paying attention to how he felt after different meals. He noticed that a short walk after dinner helped him sleep better. He discovered that spending 10 minutes in his garden each morning, just observing and planning, set a peaceful tone for his entire day. None of these are revolutionary discoveries. They're simple truths that become visible when you start approaching your body with curiosity instead of resignation. The goal isn't to become obsessed with optimization. The goal is to remember that you and your body are partners in this journey. And like any good partnership, it works best when both sides are listening to each other. So I'm not going to end this by telling you what you must do. Instead, I want to invite you to begin your own experiment. Start by asking yourself, what's my pickle jar? What's the one small thing I miss being able to do easily? What capability do I want to reclaim? Maybe it's carrying laundry upstairs without getting breathless. Maybe it's playing on the floor with your grandchildren. Maybe it's feeling confident on your feet when you're walking on uneven ground. Whatever it is, know that it's worth pursuing. You're worth the effort. If you'd like to try giving your garden the nutrient we've been talking about, look for a high-quality whey protein isolate. Choose one that's unflavored or naturally flavored, without a lot of added sugars or artificial ingredients. Start with 1 scoop mixed into yogurt, a smoothie, or a simple glass of milk each morning. Give it 3 weeks, just like Arthur did. Pay attention to how you feel. Notice the small changes. Most importantly, share your discoveries. Comment below and let us know what you're working toward. What's your goal? What small capability do you want to reclaim? Your journey might be exactly the inspiration someone else needs to begin their own experiment. We're all in this together, learning to listen to our bodies, learning to nourish our gardens properly. Remember, this isn't about turning back the clock. This is about making the time you have right now as vibrant and capable as possible. The goal was never to make Arthur 20 again. The goal was to help him feel like himself, confident, capable, and ready for whatever comes next. Your garden is ready. It's been waiting patiently for you to remember that it still has so much beauty to offer. All it needs is the right care, the right nutrients, and your gentle attention. Start today. Listen to what your body is telling you. Give it what it needs, and watch as it begins to bloom again, stronger and more vibrant than you thought possible. The Vitality Blueprint. Nourish your garden.